Some fights don't start with fists. They start with pride, hate, and the belief that one man is worth less than another. The bell above Murphy's diner door jingled as the old man entered. Sam Washington came every Tuesday morning at exactly 7:30. His steps were steady but careful, the kind of walk of a man who had carried both years and battles. For 3 years, his order never changed. Black coffee, wheat toast, exact change from a worn leather wallet. His cardigan was faded but pressed neat, his shoes polished, though old. Most people saw only a quiet 72-year-old veteran enjoying his breakfast. Few noticed the way he always sat with his back to the wall, eyes scanning exits, napkin folded with military precision, or the small flag pin on his collar that never dulled. He was a man who carried himself with dignity, even in silence. Children sometimes stared at him, sensing something different, an aura, a weight. Adults, caught in their routines, often overlooked him. But Sam never minded. He had survived storms larger than stairs. What mattered was peace, the small comfort of routine, and the warmth of a place where the air smelled of bacon and fresh coffee. Fewer still knew his son was James Washington, Director of Homeland Security. To Sam, it didn't matter. He never used that name for power. He was just another man in a small-town diner, drinking coffee like everyone else. Maria, the waitress, smiled as she poured his coffee. She'd memorized his routine, and she liked the calm dignity he carried. Her days were filled with noise and rushing, but when she stopped by Sam's table, there was always a sense of calm. Outside, her cousin Tommy was setting up a camera for a college assignment, trying to capture the flavor of small-town America, the laughter, the clinking plates, the neon signs that buzzed faintly even in daylight. He had no idea his lens would soon capture something the world would not forget. Brad Morrison sat in the corner booth, stirring his coffee with unnecessary force. His construction shirt was clean, his boots dusty from yesterday's work, but his eyes carried a fire that had nothing to do with labor. For months, Brad had been growing restless. He spoke louder about how the town was changing, about who belonged and who didn't. He hid his fear of becoming small, unnoticed, behind the mask of anger. And this morning, when he saw Sam Washington quietly reading his newspaper, that anger boiled over. To Brad, Sam's silence felt like defiance. His dignity felt like a challenge. The diner was full. The breakfast rush had drawn farmers, teachers, firefighters, mothers with children tugging at their sleeves. Forks clinked, voices rose and fell. Yet when Brad pushed back his chair and stood, something in the room shifted. His boots struck the linoleum like warning drums. Conversations died mid-sentence. A hush spread like fog as he crossed the room, his broad frame blocking the light from the windows. His shadow fell over Sam's table. "You seem real comfortable here," Brad sneered, voice dripping with venom. "Real comfortable for someone who doesn't belong." The diner froze. Fork stopped midair. Maria's smile faded. Even the jukebox seemed to fall quiet. Sam looked up, his face calm, his voice soft. "I'm just having coffee," he said. His words were steady without fear. Brad leaned closer, his breath sour with anger. "Your being here bothers me. Bothers decent people." Maria's hand shook as she reached for her phone. She didn't want to watch, but she knew she had to record. Rodriguez, the fire chief, sat frozen a few booths away, jaw tight, waiting. Outside, Tommy's camera lens tilted, drawn by the rising tension. He pressed record, capturing the stillness of a moment about to break. Sam reached for his wallet to pay and leave, but Brad's hand slammed down on the table. Quarters scattered, coffee tipped, the dark liquid spreading like spilled blood across the surface. "Don't walk away when I'm talking to you," Brad growled. Sam stood slowly, straightening his back. Age had bent his bones, but not his pride. "Please move," he said, voice calm, eyes unwavering. Brad shoved him hard. The veteran stumbled, hips slamming against the table. Pain flashed across his face, but he steadied himself. The room gasped. And then came the slap. Brad's open hand cracked across Sam's cheek with a sound that echoed like a shot. Plates rattled. A child whimpered. Phones rose higher, recording every second. Silence fell, heavy and suffocating. Sam's hand went to his burning face. For a moment he looked fragile, broken. But then his shoulders straightened, his jaw tightened. His eyes, sharp as steel, locked on Brad. "You just made a serious mistake," he whispered. Brad laughed, chest puffed, drunk on his own bravado. "What are you going to do about it, Grandpa?" Sam reached into his pocket. Not for a weapon, for his phone. His fingers, steady as a soldier's aim, scrolled to one name. James, Director, Homeland Security. He pressed call. The diner went breathless. The line clicked. A strong, commanding voice answered. "Dad, are you all right?" The room stiffened. Brad's grin faltered, the smirk sliding off his face like melting wax. Every camera caught the moment his arrogance cracked. "There's been an incident," Sam said, voice calm but firm. "I'm not badly hurt, but I wanted you to hear first." Gasps rippled through the diner. Rodriguez muttered, "Jesus Christ." Maria whispered, "His son." Mrs. Patterson, the mayor's wife, dropped her fork. Brad stumbled back, the truth dawning like a cold dawn. James's voice, sharp with authority, filled the speaker. "I can have agents there in 20 minutes. Are you safe?" Brad's knees buckled. He had slapped not just an old man, but the father of one of the most powerful officials in the country. Maria's live stream numbers exploded. Thousands joined, comments flying faster than her eyes could follow. Brad tried to swallow his fear. "It was a misunderstanding," he stammered. "No harm done, but the videos told the truth. The shove, the slap, the hate. No excuses could erase what the world had seen." Sam looked him square in the eye. "The harm was done when you assumed who I was based on how I look." By noon, the video had reached millions. News vans circled Millbrook like hungry wolves. Anchors repeated the story. A 72-year-old veteran, father of a Homeland Security Director, humiliated in public. The diner's name flashed across every screen. Commentators called it a mirror of America's wounds. Protesters gathered outside the diner holding signs. "Respect our elders, dignity for all, justice for Sam." Politicians issued statements. Even the president spoke. Brad Morrison's name became infamous overnight. His job disappeared. His neighbors turned away. His family hid. The life he had built collapsed like sand under a wave, and Sam, he stayed quiet. The next Tuesday, he returned to Murphy's Diner at 7:30 sharp. Same booth. Same order, coffee, toast, exact change. Cameras swarmed, but he refused interviews. "I'm not the story," he told them. "The story is what people saw in that video. The story is why a man thought he could treat me that way." His words carried further than he ever dreamed. Universities studied the incident. Churches preached about it. Children wrote essays on respect and courage. The video was shown in classrooms, a lesson on dignity. Sam never raised his hand in anger, yet he struck a blow that echoed across the world. Brad withered in disgrace. Courtrooms, apologies, excuses, none mattered. His punishment wasn't just legal. It was eternal shame. Sam never demanded revenge. "I want change, not destruction," he said. His son James visited often. Reporters pressed him. "Why didn't you unleash federal agents?" James's answer was simple. "Because my father already won." Years later, Murphy's Diner became a landmark. People came to sit at the booth where Sam once endured hate with grace. They ordered coffee, whispered stories, and remembered the lesson. Some fights begin with fists, others begin with hate. But the greatest victories are won with dignity. Sam Washington lived quietly until the end of his days. But his story lived louder than any shout, carried in the hearts of those who believed respect was stronger than cruelty.